All right, Class 2H. Today I'm going to reread a little bit of the story to refresh your memories, and then I'll read on a little bit. During the day, Jack often played with his friends on the beach, but it was the evenings that Jack loved best. That was when Grandfather told him the stories behind the pictures. Starting out as a young ship's boy, Jack's grandfather had lived a life of adventure. He seemed to have sailed every sea and visited every port. Jack loved his descriptions of tropical islands, the air thick with scents, spices, and parrots. In his imagination, he saw great whales spouting and dolphins and flying fishes around Grandfather's ship. Most of all, Jack looked forward to stormy nights, because then Grandfather told his terrifying tales of typhoon and shipwreck. But one day, while playing with his friends, Jack heard some of them laughing about his grandfather. "Look out, Jack, here comes your crazy granddad." "He's not crazy. I love him," said Jack. "He's bonkers, paints mad pictures and makes up stories." "He doesn't make them up," cried Jack. "Of course he does. He's never even been to sea. You ask anyone," shouted one of the boys, and they all ran off as Grandfather approached. "Had a good time, Jack?" asked Grandfather, smiling. Jack hoped that Grandfather had not heard what the boys had been saying. That evening, when Grandfather told Jack another story of the sea, he made it sound so real that Jack felt sure he could not be making it up. Next door to Grandfather's house was a tiny bookshop. The owners were Grandfather's closest friends and sometimes looked after him when he was ill. They often took him bowls of hot soup, but if the bowls were left there too long, Grandfather painted ships all over them. "Surely," thought Jack, "they will know the truth about my grandfather." Next morning, Jack went to the bookshop. "Well, Jack," said Mr. Anderson, the bookshop owner, "your grandfather hasn't been to sea since we've known him. But he is the oldest person in the village. Maybe he had all his adventures before we met him." Jack just didn't know what to think.